What's up, everybody? Well, boys, by my unofficial count, we have done this podcast weekly for the last 2 years, probably 28, 29 episodes of Last Call. And only one of those episodes did it come after a Georgia loss, which, of course, was in the 2021 SEC game versus the same damn Alabama Crimson Tide. But still, we knew we were going to the playoffs, so we really didn't care. It didn't matter that much. But guys, this is our first episode after 2 years of doing this of a real just kicking the pants weekend, man. Like this just not very fun. But you know what? We're here. It's funny. I had a bunch of texts the last few days since Saturday. What's the mood of us going to be on this podcast this week? Are we going to hop on and just cry and bitch and whine about refs and injuries, things like that? I had some person say, are y'all even going to still do the podcast or just pack it in? Well, let's answer those questions really quick. I think that all of us are in fairly reasonably good headspaces. And hell yeah, we're answering the bell. We're coming to this podcast tonight. Just like Kirby, we are going back to work and going to just keep chopping wood, right? So look, where are you guys at? Where your headspace is? The back-to-back Beck dreams have disappeared. Laurence, glad you didn't shell out the money for the trademark or copyright. But look, all good, man. How are y'all?
Hey, good evening, Josh. Yeah, so the first time in 2 years we've had to show up here with a loss, but we have been on a remarkable run. 29 straight, 2 national championships, an SEC championship. And yes, we lost. We played like crap. We didn't make plays we needed to. We fumbled. We missed a field goal. We were plagued by injuries. We didn't get any assistance from the Zebras. All the things, they all came together to come home to roost at the same time this past Saturday night. But I, for one, am proud to be a Georgia Bulldog. I'm proud of the run that we had. And like Kirby said, when we lost to Alabama in 2018, in the 2018 national championship, we ain't going anywhere. Kirby has built a program to last. And I would imagine as we wrap up this year and head into the 2024 12-team playoff season, the Georgia Bulldogs will be back on top without a shadow of a doubt.
The sun still rose today. I handle it. Fortunately, we don't have too many losses. I handle these a lot better than I did 10 years ago when we did have a lot more losses. As Laurence said, grateful for the run that we've had. We knew that this was going to happen. We didn't know when. I've gone through the 7 stages of grief a few times. I'm on like 27 or 28 stage right now. I'm not quite sure where I am today. I too got a lot of texts, and they all annoyed the shit out of me. I know people were trying to be, it wasn't necessarily about the show, but more about from friends around the country about the dogs. And yeah, they're tough to answer, but we knew this day was going to come eventually. I'm pissed that it came in this game against Alabama because I do think Georgia wins that game 4 out of 5 times. I think we'll get into that a little bit more. I'm a little, I don't know, call it depressed that the season's effectively over. Yeah, we're going to play Florida State in the Orange Bowl, and that's great. But you just don't have the hype that we had. We're not making plans right now. We're not looking at Airbnbs or hotels, in different cities. So on the bright side, my wallet is about $5,000 heavier today than it would be had we won.
So a couple things. Number one, we watched you go through each of those 7 stages of grief yesterday, like several different times. Saturday night, late night, we're talking like, oh, whatever, it happens. Sunday morning, me and you spoke. We had a whole other thing. And this day went on. You got a little more crankier. You got a little more pissed off. You started thinking more about the playoff committee and this best team versus most deserving team. And then you were all worked up last night. Today, you're kind of in a better spot. So I've watched you go through all these 7 stages multiple times.
Yeah, part of that was coincided with the amount of alcohol I was drinking yesterday. I had a couple of normally Sunday brunch, I don't have bourbon at. Yesterday, there were a few bourbons at Sunday brunch.
Laurence, talk to us. I mean, you feel pretty good, right? I mean, all things considered.
I mean, listen, do I wish we were making plans to go to New Orleans and potentially Houston? Yes. Do I wish that we were trying to figure out how to get Sean Traub to a destination without being on the same airplane as us? Yes. Am I mad to see Alabama somehow find a way into the Final Four? Yes. But you know what? We will survive, boys. We will get through it. Listen, we had some guys show up on Saturday night that probably wouldn't have played if it weren't a championship game. Lad McConkey, Brock Bauer, Smile Munden, Tate Ratledge, all these guys showed up. They're warriors. They should be inspirations to all the kids out there that just give it all and lay it all on the line. I'm proud of these kids. I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of who we are as a program. And I'm excited for the Dogs that go down to Miami and kick Florida State's ass and shut them up too, even though I do feel bad for them.
So the three of us got together at your house, Laurence, for the first half. Jason, you had something to do Saturday night. I did as well. But we were together for the first half. And after that first drive, we were freaking celebrating, dancing, booking, ready to book hotel. We got hotels, but book flights. And then the script just changed on us. It was, Laurence, you said it, is Saban doing the rope-a-dope against us? It almost felt like that. I mean, I don't know what happened. I know Mims got hurt. I don't know enough about football to know if Saban changed their schemes or did something differently, or Bobo just got too conservative. But it sure did feel like that game was what we were doing to other teams throughout the year.
Yeah, it did seem like on the offensive side, that first possession was great. Marched down the field, I think it was 83 yards, and we went through them like a butter knife through melted butter. However that stupid expression goes.
Knife through butter, Jason.
Knife through butter. Laurence, I'm playing injured today, okay? And yeah, we won, as Josh, you pointed out. I think we won the first 12 plays of the game. Bama goes 3 and out. We go down, score. Bama goes 3 and out. I'm like, this thing could get ugly early. And then it seemed, again, I haven't rewatched this game, nor will I, but it did seem like we got very conservative in the play calling. We went away from a lot of the things that we did. One of the things I did notice is, look, Alabama was getting pressure. Alabama dominated us in the trenches in that game, both sides of the ball. And they were getting pressure with 4 defenders, just the defensive line. They didn't have to bring blitzes. And I think they were able to, have 7 people back there. And honestly, I think it was tough for our receivers to get open. So maybe that's why we were really trying to establish the run. We weren't doing a very good job of it. Some of the play calling were suspect. I don't really like to get into that because, again, I don't know if it's a play call. I don't know if Beck checks out of it. I don't know what they're thinking. What I do know is Mike Bobo is in Little Rock tonight at the Broyles Finalist Award. So the rest of the country thinks the guy's done a pretty good job over the season. I will say it definitely looked different from what we'd seen in the previous 12 games.
I mean, we had a couple guys operating at 50%, as I already mentioned. Amarius Mims going out. And even though he missed a few games with the high ankle sprain, and we seemed to really not miss a beat in rotating a bunch of guys, and the strength of our team felt like it was the offensive line, they got dominated by the Bama defensive line all night long. I agree with you, Gans. I think we were overly reliant, and maybe Bama long conned us because we saw them get gashed by Auburn the week before, and we ran the ball like crazy against Georgia Tech. So we tried to do the same thing. We weren't successful. Beck, had one deep bomb to Arian Smith, which I think was our longest play. In that kind of intermediate passing game, which has been our bread and butter all year, just wasn't there. Dom Lovett had what? Again, I haven't even looked at the stats yet. I'm not going to rewatch it. I'm not looking at the stats, but I think Dom Lovett had 2 catches. We weren't making plays when we needed to. We did get a little conservative. And quite frankly, the whole game changes if we score on our second possession and we don't go 3 and out, right? So we had the little screen pass to Brock for a loss. And then we couldn't get anything going on. And then there was a questionable non-pass interference call, which would have kept the chains moving. We go down and score, make it 14-0. It's a whole different ball game, but we couldn't capitalize when we had the opportunity.
I'll go one more for you on that one. I mean, I think it really changed 10-7 when we're driving and then we go backwards 3 straight plays. And then the false start, which he just lifted his ass up. I mean, I thought it was kind of ticky-tacky, but that puts us back 5 more yards. And, we missed the field goal by inches. If we're from the 45 or from 45-yard kick, we make that 10-10, different deal. That play, and then, of course, the 4th down, catch, non-catch, again, I don't know. But I do know that, we have all this great technology at our disposal now to review these things. There's 8 zillion cameras around. Kirby can't throw a challenge flag, so I think it's on the ref's job to at least look at that. Got those 2, and then the turnover deep in our territory that led to an easy 3 for Bama, which good on the defense for holding them just a 3. But those are the 3 plays. I mean, Bama won those 3 plays, and that's the difference in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, I think our defense played great, all things considered. Dalen Everett, who gets picked on, he was guarding Isaiah Bond on that 4th and 4 incomplete pass that was complete. That was the play of the game. And then he got beat by Jermaine Burton for that touchdown in the end zone. But other than that, I thought the secondary played great. I think we didn't start to pressure Milroe enough early on. We kind of waited towards the end of the game. We were running those 2 spies with the linebackers, and maybe if we got a little bit more aggressive. But ultimately, I thought the defense played well. Like if you go and look at like the advanced statistics with our buddy Jam Coffee, Bama only had 306 yards. They were 3 of 13 on 3rd down. We averaged more yards per play than them. And if you go just look at the stats, you would have think Georgia won the game. But you're right, Josh. It came down to those 3 plays. We didn't win those, and we lose by a field goal.
Right. So again, as I said before, we win that game 4 out of 5 times. Hypothetical ifs and buts, wish in one hand, poop in the other, trying to fill some first. But yeah, missing that field goal, 5 yards closer, that thing's good, right? Turning the ball over on the 9, they kick a field goal, that's 6 points. That's your ball game right there. We did not play great, and that's how close it was. Again, don't love the hypotheticals, but those are just the facts. At times we looked inspired. Obviously, on that first drive after Anthony Evans' punt return, we looked inspired. It didn't seem like they were playing like that the whole game. I will say this, and we haven't said it yet, but Jalen Milroe played absolutely fantastic. He played lights out. He's not a quarterback, and I will argue with anyone on that. He's probably the best athlete on the field. And he got it done when he needed to get it done. So kudos to him.
The little fake pitch QB sneak that they ran to get that last first down was a great play call.
Tech ran against us.
What's that?
That was what Tech ran against us.
Yeah. Listen, I also think, we're bearing the lead a little bit that as much as we give Kirby all the kudos, and Kirby is a fantastic coach, the best in the business. He got schooled a little bit by his mentor in this game with some of the back and forth with the timeouts and things like that. So, hey, credit to Saban. There's a reason he's the GOAT. It kills me to say it, but he got the best of Kirby on Saturday night.
Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
I was just saying it was interesting watching Milroe. We've talked about him a ton, seen his highlights, but to watch him play every single down against your team, you look at it a little differently. And I swear that first half quarter, a quarter, we're like, is this guy for real? I mean, his passes were nowhere close. We had that spy keeping him contained. And then, man, all of a sudden, I don't know if he got comfortable or what, but then our comments changed. Like, this dude's throwing lasers. He's throwing dimes. He's running. I was super duper impressed.
Yeah, he played the best that he could play. I'll take number 15 over him all day of the week, any day of the week. But he balled out when he had to. The thing that bothers me probably the most about this is, look, the last time we played Alabama, we beat them in the national championship. You go and you beat them, besides obviously the playoff implications, you beat them in Mercedes-Benz, or in Atlanta, where we've never beaten them, or certainly not in my lifetime. You kind of exercise that demon and maybe get the monkey off your back, and maybe it's not as big of a mind fuck to everyone, fans, players, coaches. And now that's still there, right? The demon's still there. And the next time that we line up, Mercedes-Benz, hopefully next year, potentially against them, right? Can we do it then? I don't know.
We'll get him in Tuscaloosa first next year.
We will.
So the last Stein injury report of the year, I do think it's worth mentioning that, we thought that Kirby was being a little coy in the last couple of weeks with holding out Brock, holding out Ladd. We, surmise reasons why. I think those dudes were hurt, guys. I think they absolutely were hurt. They didn't play against Tech because they couldn't, and they were not 100% against Alabama. I mean, at the end of that half, Ladd could barely walk. I am just amazed that he came back in the second half and was effective. So, Ra didn't play at all. So the Stein injury report was not very good for the Dogs. Look, Alabama had injuries too. I mean, McClellan was out. They had other people out. So everybody deals with that. Pop not being there, I think, really ended up hurting us. On that wheel route, that was one of the freshman linebackers that just was not in the right place. But again, everybody deals with it. Everybody knows about officiating. You're not going to hear Kirby say one word of that as an excuse, and neither will we.
Now, one thing that we haven't mentioned also, and I think we'd be remiss not to mention, is how freaking good is Jalen Walker? That guy's a stud. I mean, he's going to be exciting to watch next year. He was by far our best defensive player. He was just all over the place. I'm really excited to see him play next year.
Else is pretty good? Caleb Downs for Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. He is.
Yeah, Jalen Walker, Warren Brinson, Christian Miller are going to be a beast next year. On top of our secondary, I'm not sure the status of if Lassiter is gone or not.
He gone.
I don't know if is Bullard, is he a sophomore?
Bullard is draft eligible and 50-50, but dude, you've seen Lasser play. Hopefully he plays in the Orange Bowl, but he's gone. He'll be potentially a first-round draft pick. And
Bullard
it sounds like we should say this too. So today we're recording Monday night, and Brock Vandagriff made his intentions known that he is entering the portal. Logic would tell you that it seems like Carson Beck would be coming back. So I think that's good news. Anything could happen, but why would Vandagriff leave? Why would he put his name in today? If he thought Beck was leaving.
Everybody's got a guy, right? Everybody knows somebody. I heard from somebody that they made the numbers work with Beck and that he's coming back, and I hope that he does, but we will see. Bullard sent out a tweet yesterday that made people think that he was going to be gone, so who knows? Yeah. All right, so we started immediately after the Florida State game discussing and debating what the playoff four is going to look like. I think that all of us kind of knew in our heart of hearts it was not going to include Georgia. It should have, but it didn't. Laurence, I think you ended up nailing the four. I think that we went back and forth for, the better part of Sunday morning, and your final answer, I don't know if you got the order right. Did you get the order right? But you got the four right.
I got the four right and the order right.
Yep. And the order right. I did not. I thought that Texas was going to be the one that got hosed. I've been saying for weeks that you can't take Alabama over Texas, but I just thought at the end of the day, they could not leave out an unbeaten ACC champ, but I don't know. Gans, you sent out an article just now. I've not read it yet. Some behind the scenes stuff. So whoever wants to start off, we've got tons to say about how this all went down.
Yeah. So look, someone was getting left out regardless. I agree with you, Josh. I thought Texas was going to be the one left holding the bag, or we could do, the musical chairs analogy. I thought they'd be the one without a seat. Obviously that was not correct. My problem with the playoff committee is there's literally no rhyme or reason to what they did, right? We've debated this. We've talked about this. Is it most deserving, or is it the best four teams? If it's the most deserving, you can't leave Florida State out. A 13-0 Power 5 conference champion. They did everything that they had to do. Not their fault that Jordan Travis broke his leg. If it's best, I'll argue with anybody. You can't tell me Georgia's not one of the four best teams, right? So which is it? And what they seem to keep saying is it's best. And that's why they didn't think Florida State would have a chance against any of those other teams. They are probably right about that. But then you're forgetting the Georgia side of the equation. Georgia would be favored against all four of the teams in the college football playoff today. If they played today, we would be favored against all four of them, including Alabama, who just beat us by 3 points. So no logic there. In that article, it's on ESPN's front page. Twice they mentioned we picked the best four teams. That is a bunch of bullshit. I'll leave it at that.
I started to see some stuff flying around yesterday morning that said that had the list of the criteria that the committee uses. And then I saw something that I had never seen before. And maybe it's because I wasn't paying attention, or maybe it's because it was new, but it said also they have the determination to omit a team because a key player or coach is no longer playing or part of the team, or whatever the case may be. And that's how they kind of justified leaving Florida State out. The reason that I got to my final answer was about like 12:02. I was sitting in the car and I was watching the beginning of the announcement show, and they bring Herbie on, and behind Herbie they had the four helmets. They had Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama, and below that was Florida State. And I go, these assholes just leaked it before they announced it. And that's why I sent my prediction out there. I think Florida State got royally hosed. At the end of the day, the committee realizes they needed to put Bama in because Bama beat Georgia. They realized they couldn't, if they put Bama in, they had to take Texas. And so they made a decision that's never been made before, and to leave an undefeated Power 5 team out. Listen, we've seen teams come in with backup quarterbacks and win the whole thing. Ohio State did it with a third stringer. Stetson Bennett was not the starter at the beginning of the season. Georgia did it. It happens. You got to let these guys have a chance to go out there after going 13-0.
But then who do you leave out? Someone's getting left out. And if it's best, I don't think anybody will make an argument. Florida State is not one of the best 4 teams. Even with Jordan Travis, they're not. Look at all the hypothetical lines. It would be Michigan would be a 12-point favorite. Alabama is a 12-point favorite. Texas is a 10-point favorite, and Washington was like a 6-point favorite. If you're taking the 4 best teams, Washington should. If you're only one Power 5 conference champion out, fuck it, leave 2 out too. Leave Washington out, put Georgia in, and now you got Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Texas, who are probably the 4 best teams in college football.
Well, that's what I was saying. If you're going to leave Florida State out, you got to kick Washington out and bring Georgia into the fold. I mean, yes. So it's most deserving or best. They did a mishmash, put it all together, and you get your poo-poo platter of something that, quite frankly, I'm not overly excited to watch.
No, you said it best. It's like either do most deserving or do best. They did neither. They took half and half because Alabama and Texas were tied together. They were packaged.
They took TV ratings is what they did. They took TV ratings. They wanted Bama. They wanted Saban, and they had to make it happen.
Okay, here's my prediction. Is Bama, even though they're a 2.5-point underdog, beats Michigan. And by the way, if Michigan doesn't win the national championship this year, can we just be done with them? They keep putting them in. They keep getting their ass kicked in the semifinals. Like, let's just be done with these guys. They're losers. They got a loser coach. Be done with them. But Alabama's going to beat Michigan. Texas is going to boat race Washington. You're going to have a Texas-Bama rematch in Houston, which the prices of Bama doesn't really travel anymore. Part of it's fatigue. Part of it's just whatever. I'm not going to go into the socioeconomic background of the state, but they don't travel like, if it's at Texas, I mean, the price of those tickets, it's going to be like when Georgia played Alabama in 2017 in the national championship. But I am going to enjoy it when Bama. I will root for Bama in that game, and I'll tell you why. I don't need another team, cracking into that upper echelon of elite, particularly one that's coming to the SEC and we have to play next year. So let Bama just have it. Maybe there's that chance Saban will retire. And it'll be fun to watch the Longhorns lose on their home turf.
That's a fair take. So you mentioning the ticket prices, that was another fun part of yesterday was all of us saying what we're going to do with the saved money. Everybody made $5,000 yesterday. And we all had $5,000 to spend. People were going to Vegas, people were going to Arizona, people were buying golf clubs. It was a really funny running sub part of yesterday. Social media was absolutely on fire yesterday. But my favorite tweet of all of them, I think it was our guy, John Tweet Sports. Remember that? Know that guy?
Oh, yeah. Chop on Corey.
Yeah. He said that apparently getting blown out at home by the number 3 ranked team is a better loss than losing by 3 on a neutral site to the 4th ranked team, which can explain why Alabama so easily got in over Georgia. Then you get Jam Coffee with his transitive property. If this team beats that team and that team beat that team, then you do. It's just a mess. And it makes me excited for the 12 teams next year because there's 100% chance this never happens again. Because 11, 12, 13, 14, 10, those teams will not have a leg to stand on if they get the ones that are left out. This will be the last year ever that someone like Florida State or Georgia has a legitimate gripe to not be in the playoffs.
And no one's going to give a shit, honestly, except for that, like the 13 team gets left out. There's controversy there. It's like, well, whatever. You had 3 losses or you had 2 losses. You should have. That being said, and I won't go down too big of a rabbit hole. I've said this to you guys. I don't like the 12-team playoff. I think 8 is probably the right number. I think 12, you're getting a watered-down product, and you're going to get 3 lost teams in there with 12. I would assume, but whatever. Nobody listens to me.
I like this really fun for Georgia. Let's say we slip up 2 times and maybe a third. Like, let's just get more insurance.
It would be really fun to be preparing for a home playoff game in Athens against somebody like Penn State in the next 2 weeks. I mean, I think that would be pretty freaking awesome.
What's the date of that going to be? Like, would it be mid-December?
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be like 2 weeks, because then the second round would be a location of one of the traditional bowl games, like Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, whatever. So they probably get a week off, the Army Navy next week, and then the playoff games would start after that. But Josh, also one of the memes that I saw and I kind of laughed, even though it was painful to see, was the Bizarro Spider-Mans pointing at each other, with one being the 2023 Braves and the other being the 2023 Dogs. As depressing as it was, it rang true yesterday.
Well, look, we got 2021. We knew we were going to pay the price for that at some point in time, and the price came this fall, and it's okay. They still can't take that away from us. We quickly figured out that Georgia was going to be going down the Orange Bowl. playing FSU, which I have heard is now being dubbed the Angry Bowl between FSU and Georgia. So, look, these bowl games have become in the last couple of years a sideshow. We haven't really experienced it because we've been playing in playoff games, but I think y'all have convinced me that Kirby only has one speed and his team only has one speed, and that these guys, Milton already said he's going to be playing, and y'all feel pretty convinced that Bauer's going to be playing. So maybe this is still going to be something worth watching.
We should absolutely smoke Florida State, assuming half the team doesn't opt out. But yeah, I'd be shocked if Brock doesn't play, assuming he's healthy and there's no more setbacks. Maybe a little bit different for Ladd because he just seemed really banged up kind of all season long. But yeah, I agree. The important thing is with this is you get, I think it's 15 bowl practices, and you really get a lot of time now without the pressure of being in the playoffs. I think you'll see some of the younger guys play significantly more minutes in this game and really get an identity of what our 2024 team is going to look like, because it's going to look a lot different than the 2023 team.
I mean, yeah, we already had like 6 or 7 guys put their name in the role. Some of the guys don't get a lot of playing time. The 15 extra practices are a bonus. It would not surprise me if Brock sat out the Orange Bowl. Again, I think just really be specific to the injury more than anything. He wouldn't do it for draft status. He'd do it because his ankle just still isn't 100%. And, at the end of the day, outside of the playoffs, these bowl games are glorified scrimmages. And, Kirby learned his lesson after we had a no-show against Texas in the Sugar Bowl, however many years ago that was. That he had a mindset that he says you're either in or you're out. So, and if you're out, you're not even traveling with the team. I think it was a year like DeAndre Baker, if you remember, was causing all kinds of ruckus in New Orleans. And Kirby's like, if you're going to come play, you're going to play. If you're out, you're out. And so I do think we'll show up. I think Florida State's going to show up because they have something to prove. They want to have a stake to the claim of a split national championship if somehow they can beat the team that was number 1 all year long. So we're going to bow our necks. We're going to go down there. We're going to kick their ass.
So my buddy Justin True, who's a big Florida State fan, I saw him yesterday, and he was hot, boy. I mean, he is as even keeled as they come, and he was fucking hot. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit. He told me that Florida State had officially applied for a split national championship. I don't know what that means, or if y'all
officially applied to.
Huh?
Who do you officially apply to?
I don't know.
It's like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah, I declare bankruptcy.
You just walk outside and yell.
He needs to call UCF and ask them how you do it.
He was in no mood for me to examine him on the details of this application, nor was I going to. Having said that, that's what he's saying they did. And I tell you, their AD and their president really laid some pretty good statements out. I mean, you can't really disagree with what they have said. Reading about the ACC's involvement with the committee and, how the ACC kind of screwed themselves with decisions they made about this year kind of makes me laugh a little bit, but I feel bad for Jordan Travis. I mean, his tweet about, hey, I wish I would have broken my leg earlier in the season so y'all could have seen that my teammates could still do well without me. I mean, just breaks your heart. I mean, I guess somebody's always left out, but not just what I've ever talked about.
Newsflash, Jordan Travis, you broke your leg in week 4. You guys would have been 13-0.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And listen, I do feel bad for them, and I totally understand why your buddy was so hot, because I can only imagine if I was in that scenario. That being said, they're not one of the top 4 teams, and they would get their ass kicked. So, it is what it is. I understand why they're upset. They have a legitimate gripe, but the fact of the matter is they barely beat a shitty Louisville team. They barely beat a shitty Florida team. Without Jordan Travis, this team is totally different. And Laurence, you're exactly right. They would have gone 10-2. They barely beat Clemson at Clemson. They barely beat Boston College at Boston College. It's their best win was against LSU the first week of the season.
The last thing I'm going to say about this is whoever would have thought that when we're sitting there 4th and 31, with the game about to be lost to Auburn, that making that play was going to upend and change dramatically how all this played out. College football.
Yeah, they should be pissed at. They should be pissed at Brian Harsin Freeze.
That's what we said. Harsin Freeze and the 2-man rush is who really is the cause of all this crap.
Well, 4th and 31 doesn't get converted. We lose. We actually get in as the 3 seed. Florida State's the 4 seed. And none of this happens.
Yeah, and if Texas doesn't beat Alabama, it's just wild. I mean, if they don't play, or if they don't play.
We'd still be out.
I don't think so.
What do you do with Texas?
Well, we would be in. It would be between Texas and Florida State, and Texas would be out because you didn't have to bring Bama with them.
That's what Laurence means, is that Texas got in because they couldn't leave Alabama out. And
No way. Texas goes in over us because they're a conference champion and we just lost. Texas would have gone in that scenario, and Florida State probably would have gone in. It would have been down to Florida State, Georgia, and then that's what
they would have taken Georgia because we're more eyeballs, because they would have screwed Florida State that way too.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's analysis. We'll see. So it is transfer portal season, and my God, it is flying fast and furious. If for nothing else, it's just super interesting to follow and see who's going where. I don't know where it's all going to end up. I know a lot of dominoes fell today, but anything particularly I want to speak of on that?
Coach Prime's fiance entered the transfer portal. She gone.
Yeah, I saw that. I think Georgia's going to be in the market for defensive linemen, particularly interior defensive linemen, maybe a receiver or two. There are some big names in there.
The kid from Vandy, London Humphreys, is rumored to come to us. I imagine Walter Nolan is somebody we'll be in the market for. I'll be really interested to see where Vandegrift ends up. I saw some stuff today on Twitter that Kentucky is a possible landing spot for him. And outside of that, like the guys from Georgia that put their name in the portal, those guys aren't going to get meaningful snaps in Athens. So we'll see what happens with the portal post bowl game and post spring practice.
The rumor that I've been reading today is that Justice Haynes, Veron Haynes' kid, who's at Alabama, is looking at coming over to the good guys.
That would make sense. You mentioned interior linemen. We got exposed on Saturday for not having, Jordan Davis and, 88.
Janet Carter.
Yeah, thank Janet Carter. They're just, you can't replace those guys every year. We were saying on the announcers were like, they're running right through the middle. It's like, well, you can't just bring new guys in every year like that. But hopefully we do find somebody in the portal. I added something on the on our sheet here that I did not include earlier today because I just read it. So I'll see if you guys have seen it yet. The first team All SEC, second team All SEC came out. Have y'all checked that out yet?
I have not seen it, but I saw the Heisman invites.
Very fun. Okay. Well, then, who do y'all think, or who would be your selections for Georgia Bulldogs who made the first team All SEC?
All right. Well,
Brock, yes.
Cedric Van Pran.
Yes.
Malachi Starks.
Yes.
Tyke Smith.
No.
Bullard.
No.
Kamari Lassiter.
No.
There's
one more.
Tate Ratledge.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. All right. Now there was two that made the second team. You've already mentioned one name. Bullard. Yep.
And that's a tough one.
Was Carson Beck second team?
No.
Brett Thorson.
No, that's a good one. No. Wait,
Peyton Woodring.
No. I was Nazir Stockhouse, which kind of surprised me.
He got that for the fat guy touchdown that got called back.
Please give your punter statistic that we did not mention all year for fear of breaking up a no-hitter. This is amazing to me.
Not one return yard against Georgia's punting all year, which is absolutely insane. There was not one return yard allowed.
Impossible. And I didn't know, if y'all don't tell me these things, I don't hear about them, and you are too afraid to break up a no-hitter.
I was not talking during the no-hitter, Josh. It wasn't going to happen. But did you see the Final Four for Heisman to show up in New York that came out today too?
Yeah. Penix, Bo Picks, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jaden Daniels.
That's right.
So Marvin Harrison, I think Marvin Harrison is the only one that I predicted correctly at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I totally whiffed on that one. I think I had Penix in mind.
You always have Penix in yours, Gans.
Well played. I'm assuming Jaden Daniels was first team All SEC quarterback. Don't tell me Milrow was second team.
Yes, he was. Hold on real quick. I can pull that up. Let's see. Well, as y'all are talking on something else, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that Thorson didn't make.
I'll look it up while Lawrence, we gave you the 6-pack to try to get back to even for your sucker bets. I did not. I mean, I know you picked Alabama. Shame on you. So I know you won that one. I know you lost Friday night because I was with you watching, your Oregon Ducks to true sucker not land. But how'd the rest of it go?
Well, I really, really, really tried to use my powers for good and not evil this weekend. I tried to pick Alabama to mush them. It didn't happen. But I had Oregon, which was a loss. I had Bama, which covered. I had Iowa, which did not cover. I had Texas, which covered. I had SMU that did not cover, and then there was one more that I had that covered. So I ended up 3-3 for my 6-pack, which put me at 9-11 on the season. Not great, not terrible. We're not getting our kneecaps broken by the bookies in a 9-11 season. And I haven't really looked at the lines yet for the bowl games. And as you guys know, bowl games are hard to predict because you don't know who's going to play, who's not going to play. But the one line that did jump out at me was Alabama +2. I feel like the whole world's going to be on Alabama. Even Michigan, when they announced they were going to be playing Alabama, the entire ballroom where they were watching the selection show, they collectively shat themselves. And so they're even scared to play Alabama. And I kind of think Michigan is gonna win and cover. It's just a weird line.
We didn't actually talk about the not that there's much to talk about, but the Michigan Iowa game, and a bar in Cedar Rapids, Michigan. I think it was Cedar Rapids, whatever.
Cedar
Some
Rapids,
bar
Iowa.
in Iowa State in Iowa was offering free beer until Iowa scored.
They're still pouring.
They'll be pouring beer till next Labor Day.
I mean, how shitty of admittedly, I think I've watched like 2 Iowa games. The one when the under was 24.5 and you took the under. I did watch that. Their offense just absolutely sucks ass.
So the first half over under for Iowa points scored was 0.5.
It's amazing.
And I called our friend Nate and I'm like, dude, is this for real? He goes, bro, take the under. Are you serious? Take the under. And then for the whole game, it would have hit the under. It's insane. Second team quarterback. You guys want to guess? All SEC?
Milroe?
Yeah. So the powers that be chose him over 15. I don't know about that.
I disagree. Listen, I shit on Milroe a lot at the beginning of the season, and it was warranted. He was benched. He definitely improved as the season wore on. Again, not a quarterback, a hell of an athlete. He seems like a pretty good dude also. Don't necessarily, I don't like fluffing other teams' players, but seems like a decent guy.
Did you see that Tyler Buckner also entered the transfer portal today and what he's doing?
Yeah, lacrosse.
He's transferring out of football altogether to go play lacrosse.
Yeah,
that's some serious portal activity. All right, Gans, you want to give a final Jimbo of the week or anoint a Jimbo of the year? Your choice.
Yeah, well, I thought about there wasn't a ton of action this weekend. One name I thought about giving the award to. I don't know if you guys saw it, but our friend Jermaine Burton decided he wanted to taunt the Georgia fans and stood in the end zone and started doing like heartbreak and crying things to them. Just a dick. Like, he's a guy I like to root against. Just a total asshole. But I'm going to give the final Jimbo of the week, and we'll come up with something new for next year, to the College Football Playoff Committee. They could not have bungled that. And again, pick a lane and stay in it, right? You can't do, as Larry said, the poo-poo platter of teams. I think their logic is flawed. And for that, they get the final Jimbo of the week.
Fantastic 2-pack you just gave. You nailed it. I thought Burton is the biggest asshole in all of assholes, only to be then trumped by the playoff committee a couple hours later. So,
hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Nailed it, Gans. It's the chef's kiss to wrap up the regular season.
Well, gentlemen, I've greatly enjoyed this season talking to you guys every Monday night about these games. I hate that it came to a conclusion for Georgia like this, but like you can't win them all. We knew this was going to come to an end at some point. Laurence, I'm glad that you saved your $500 on back-to-back. That would have hurt if we would have actually won it, and then that took off, and somehow you couldn't capitalize on it. We'll get back together maybe right around the bowl game, maybe just before, just after, to just put a ribbon in all this. And we'll do it next year, right? We'll have reasons to come back, and Georgia will be a top 5 team again, reload with the new recruiting class, and let's go again, right?
Yeah, I'd love to get a recap from Jason if he does go down to the Orange Bowl. We'll get an on-site report from the Gans family in Miami. Yeah, man, happy holidays to all our loyal listeners. Appreciate everyone taking time to listen to us week in, week out. It's always fun to get stopped when you're talking to our friends and they talk about the podcast. And Josh, appreciate you hosting us to just spill our guts every week on the Bulldogs. So, hey, man, congrats to the dogs, and we'll be back.
Yeah, it's definitely the golden time, and I've certainly enjoyed the past 2 years, and it's not rebuild, it's reload. So bright times ahead. But yeah, listen, thanks to our host Josh Stein, the J Stein Law Firm. Hopefully everyone enjoys listening to our ramblings, arguments, musings, whatever it may be. And yeah, happy holidays to all.
All the above. Appreciate you guys very much for doing this every week, and appreciate all y'all out there, as Laurence said, for taking the time to listen to us. We have a good time and hope that you enjoyed as well. So everybody have a great holiday season. Whoever team you're rooting for in the playoffs, I hope that they win for you. I like Gans's thought on why we shouldn't root for Texas, can't root for Michigan because of those assholes. And maybe we all go on Team Phoenix. I don't know. The sketchy dogs out west.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Take care.
It's basketball season.
Yeah.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Till next time. Keep chopping. Later.
Go Dogs.